My privilege today to interview Alf Worth, who was a member of the 2nd 4th Machine Gun Battalion, captured in Singapore, of course, on the 15th of February 1942, and who subsequently went to Thailand with the D-Force, and is one of the few people who went quite a long way north, up as far as Konkoita. When he was in that area, he had contact with Dr. Phil Millard, and he was aware of Dr. Ian Duncan of being in that area. Later, when the railway was finished, Alf was chosen or volunteered to go on a party, and he ended up in Ohama camp in Japan. But I think it's much better if we listen to this in Alf's own words. Thank you, Alf, for agreeing to talk today, and maybe we could acknowledge that it is your 97th birthday in 2 days' time, which is the 20th of November. Alf, what were you doing before you enlisted in the AIF?
In the British trade.
Yes.
I was a linotype operator at Wesfarmers.
Yeah. Well, it's a wonder you're alive today, because you could have got lead poisoning being a linotype operator.
That's what everybody reckoned.
And do you remember the day you enlisted in the AIF?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Went down to Karrakatta, and we were 6 to 10. It's had to get out of our civvy clothes and into uniform. And in our tent was a chap by the name of Liz. Crap.
It doesn't matter if you can't remember, because you'll probably remember later on.
I will do. Anyway, we all tossed our civvy clothes in the rubbish bag thing there. And this chap Les went round and picked them all up and carted them off. We could hardly get that tent for bags of clothes. Krasnstein. That's Krasnstein.
It sounds like a good Jewish name, and a person that was very good at picking things up.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So you did your training in Northam. Were you on that famous march when, was it Colonel Saggers led the, or was it the Colonel Ankett, your CO, that led the march from Northam to Perth? Were you on that famous march? How many days did that take?
I'm not sure whether it was 3 or 4 days. It might have been on the 4th day we marched through Perth.
Yes.
But I'm not certain of that.
And it was your CO, Colonel Anketel, that led
Yes.
the march, wasn't it? Yes.
And the old dog in front.
Yeah. So when you finished your training in Northam, you went to South Australia,
And
then up to Darwin,
yeah.
and then from Darwin you were put on a boat. Do you remember the name of the boat?
Equitator, I think it was.
Well, weren't you on a smaller boat when you moved? The Equitania, I think you got boarded in Port Moresby.
No, we,
No? It doesn't matter, because eventually you were on the Equitania,
that's right,
which went to Sydney, and then it came right round to Perth.
that's right.
Now, when you were in Gage Roads, is it true that there was no leave available for the troops?
And they,
Mhm.
I was working the linotype on the boat. Doing a daily paper sort of thing on the boat. And Jones, here, mate of mine, come down, he says, Al, they get off the boat. So I got to switch the machine off and joined them. Got on a water tanker.
And went to Fremantle.
But they dropped us at Fremantle over. They were our way,
Yes.
as fast as the military police would be on one side, they'd boated go to the other side.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got home that afternoon.
Now you were married at that stage, weren't you? So what date did you and Rose marry? Or what year might be better? Was it the same year, that 1941 or?
1941.
Yes, yes. So you'd been married only a short time.
Yeah, July the 8th.
Yes, yeah. Yeah. So there you are. Did you seeing that you got to Fremantle, did you manage to catch up with Rose before you went back to the ship?
Well, I got straight on the train in Fremantle. Got on the Armadale train at Perth and went out back to Gosling.
Yes, yeah.
Walked into the dressmaking shop and she's, I'll not forget it, she was fitting a lady with a dress. And I walks in and they screwed their heads off. But we got over that part of it.
Yeah.
I spent the night there and back to the boat next morning
How did you get back to the boat the next morning?
by the train.
Boat train. So you got back onto the boat. You weren't like some of the 90-odd fellows that ended up being in the prison. Okay, so when you arrived in Singapore, were you aware that the Japanese had? Well, you were aware the Japanese had already landed in Malaya. Where were you sent to assist in the defence of Singapore?
Well, we went out to Changi for a while.
Hmm.
And then we went out and Don Company went out to the name of the river. The Kwai, was it, or something?
No, not there. But there's quite a lot of little rivers in Singapore. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we went out, they got positions and everything there. And that's where the Japs landed.
Yeah. So were you? What was your in the gun crew? What was your position, or what did you do?
I was number one.
You were number one with the gun, and that was what, a Vickers machine gun, was it? Or-
Vickers machine
Yes,
gun.
yeah. Were you anywhere? Do you remember a chap named James Patterson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you anywhere near him?
Well, when we went out to this river,
Yes.
there was one gun section on one bank of the river, one gun section on the other bank.
Yeah.
The river come up and went round a hill,
Hmm.
and we were up on top of this hill facing down to the river.
Mm.
And
Was it the Kranji? Was it the Kranji River?
yes,
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. So I know exactly where you were. Yeah. So do you remember the Japanese coming ashore in their boats? Or
well, we could see it.
you could see them? Yes. Yeah.
But like this was all due to us. But we had a couple of chaps in there, gun or in their section, that were from the First World War. And they called this a rolling bombardment or something.
Yes.
And the Jap artillery was firing from Malaya just ahead of these boats with heavy guns.
Mm-hmm.
And when the boats got up a bit closer, 100 yards further on, 100 yards, they gradually got in. We could see them.
Yes.
They were packed in boats like in a sardine.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have enough launches to all
Yeah.
come on a launch.
Yes.
But they towed about 4 or 5 motor boats,
Yes.
all packed like sardine.
Yeah.
You couldn't miss. They were packed that tight.
Now, when the Japanese came ashore, your unit had to fall back, didn't it, towards Singapore City.
Yeah.
Where were you actually when the 15th of February occurred, when the capitulation took place?
Outside the village, I think it was I can't think of it there.
Mm-hmm.
There's a cemetery there,
Yes.
and we were alongside the cemetery.
Yeah.
And well, we spent about the last couple of days there. See, when we left the coast, when the Japs landed, they started getting behind us. We had to lower our guns up and leave.
Mm.
So we were practically without a rifle or anything to defend ourselves.
Yeah, I understand. Who was the officer in charge of your company?
Alf Croft.
Alf Koff. Yeah. Mm.
And George was a TRIC
That's George Gwynn.
Gwynn, yeah.
Yeah, the lawyer.
Yeah.
Mm. All right. So when the capitulation took place, were you in that big march of all the POWs out to Sellerang Barracks or
Yeah.
to the Changi area? But
Yeah.
you as the Aussies went into Sellerang Barracks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Were you also in Sellerang Barracks later in the year when the Japs made? No. No. Where were you then?
Adam Park.
Ah, right.
They shifted us out there. We were working on a Jap, what they call it.
Not the memorial.
It was a sort of a synagogue or something out there.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There was a synagogue.
Yeah. Like a temple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had to chop the top off a hill
Yes.
and build this temple up there.
Oh, right. Yeah. And was that wasn't Bukatima? Was it Bukatima? No, that's another one. Yeah. Now, if you go forward that into 1943, when you became party, a member of S Battalion, but part of D Force
D-Force, yeah.
that went to Thailand. Do you remember that train journey up to Thailand?
You couldn't forget it.
No.
We were packed into a tin. It was the carriage, a van sort of a thing.
Yes.
One chap in there, and he wanted the door shut all the time. We were like sardines and
So I know that the journey took about 4 nights, 5 days to get to Thailand. How often would you have had a meal along the way?
about twice a day.
Twice a day. Mm.
Water was about once a day. You didn't get a bath, a shower or anything.
No. How did you attend to the needs of nature?
Just
How did you attend to the needs of nature?
out the door.
Yeah.
The chap opened the door.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. You weren't. There was one incident where some of the guys were able to have a shower under one of those hoses that replenish the steam train with its water. Were you in a circumstance like that? So when you arrived in Banpong, did you then go by trucks anywhere, or did you start walking from that point?
I think we might have got a ride up us a bit of the way up, put it that way, not far.
Well,
We had to cart all our, well, we didn't have much gear, but cooking utensils, food
Mm.
and everything. And when we got up to, was it K2, was it, or something?
Yes, yeah, Connew, yeah.
Yeah.
But can I just, do you remember Kanchanaburi or Canberry? Do you remember passing through there?
It was just overnight,
Yes,
stayed there,
yeah.
and kept on going.
Did you then, I just want to check, do you remember crossing a river at any time? You know, after you left Canberry but before you got to Connew or K2 where you were? Do you remember crossing a river?
I don't remember that.
Don't recall it. Okay, you got to Connew. Now, was Dunlop Force already up there at that stage? They're in that roughly that area, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah. Did you see them at all?
no,
No. So, which officers did you have with you in Connew?
Big Wedge, I think Mick might have been the only second, fourth officer there.
Yeah. Do you remember any others at all? What about, was there a doctor in that camp at all?
Millard,
That was Phil Millard, Captain Phil Millard, yeah. So what work did you do in the Connew area?
hammer and tap.
Hammer and tap? Would you have been on what is now known as Hellfire Pass or not? You were.
Yeah.
So did you later see Major Saggers at all in that area?
No,
No. He came up, quite a bit later. Okay, so from then, from Connew area, you subsequently went further north to Kinsayok. Do you remember going up there?
we weren't there very long,
No.
and they shifted us up further,
Yes.
and of course the line was finished by then, and they were using it.
All right.
And we went up there as timber cutters
Yes.
for the
For the trains.
train.
Yeah.
That was only a short stay there, and they sent us back down.
Well, that was when you went up to Concoita then, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah,
That Concoita. Were there any other second fourths up there with you?
yes,
Do you remember the names of them?
only old Bert Polton,
Mm.
and I,
And did you have a doctor with you in that area?
don't remember that.
Did you must have been close to some Dutch camps when you were also in that area.
Yes,
Yeah. You didn't have much contact with them?
we
What
weren't that long there.
No. What about the coolies that were working up there? Did you see the coolies working?
Oh,
The natives? Did you remember whether there were any women with the natives?
no, I don't think
No.
it was there, but
No. So the railway line's finished, and you've done work like hammer and tap. Did you do and you've been up there now cutting timber for the trains. And then you must have been down at Tamwan. Was that when you became part of a Japan party in Tamwan?
Yeah.
And how did you get from Tamwan to Japan?
When we went down back to Singapore, had a ride around in Singapore for a while, and then they marched us down to the wharf. That's about the only time I didn't drop my mother, but I got mighty downhearted
Yes, yeah,
when we saw that boat,
yes. What was the name of it?
the Oaky Maru.
Yeah, or its real name was the Ration Maru, wasn't it? Yeah, but it got named the Bioki Maru.
Yeah.
What does Bioki mean?
Sick.
Sick, yeah. Now, you boarded that vessel and then moved through to Japan. Do you remember how long the journey took?
10 weeks.
Yeah. And was there not a couple of situations when in very high seas or in a typhoon it very nearly turned over?
And we were, this boat had been bombed, burnt, but never sank. But had nothing left, just, and we were down in the hold, and you could see the waves from down in the hold.
Yes, yeah,
That was in this typhoon or whatever they call it.
yeah. And were there some steel girders welded along it to hold it together or something like that? Mm.
Right, big. I think that was our only lifeline.
Yes, yeah. Kept it together. So when you arrived in Japan, did you arrive at maybe Moji? Moji. And from Moji, where did you move to?
When we got to Moji, they offloaded us. And by that time, the sides of the boat were covered in poo, to put it plain.
Yes.
The Japs all went round holding those. They got us, took us off and put us on another boat. We went across the inland sea
Yes.
to Ohama.
Yes. Yeah. Now, who was with you in Ohama? Who was was there a senior Australian officer in that camp?
What's his name?
Was that Reg Newton or
Reg,
what was his nickname? Roaring Reg.
Roaring Reg. Yeah.
Yeah, Reg Newton, a very outstanding.
Good joker.
Yeah, outstanding man. Yeah. And what work did the Japs force you to do when you were in Ohama?
Well, for a few days they put us working on top. And then down the mine.
Yes. Yeah.
And down the mine they will divide us into crews to work at different levels on the coal. And somehow or other I was missed out. The Jap looked at me and didn't know what to do with me. He says, backsack out. I had no idea what all this meant. But I had to sack out was work. But back was the only thing I knew, and that meant back to camp. So I went back to camp,
Uh-huh.
handed in my lamp and everything. And everybody's looking, wondering what the hell I'm doing, wandering around by myself. There was a helmet at the guardhouse. The mob that was still down the mine came back about 2 hours late. And they'd spent a couple of hours looking for me, and they were one missing.
Yes, yeah.
So anyway, that was smoothed out somehow, I don't know how.
Yeah. Now, did you have any doctors in Ohama camp?
Asian one,
Right.
Indonesian.
So he was a Indonesian, Eurasian doctor. Yeah. Yeah, and you've... Yeah. Now, do you remember the day on which you finally became aware that the war was over?
Yes. Was our shift to go down the mine. And they marched us off down the mine to the first level. It was out under the inland sea. And sat us down and the Jap was scratching his head. I suppose he didn't know how to put it into words, but he told us the war was over.
Mm, mm.
So we refused to do any more work. So after about an hour of trying to make us work, took us back to the camp. And we never went back down the mine.
Yeah. Now, that's the 15th of February, but in the week beforehand, 2 atomic bombs had been dropped. Were you ever aware that anything like that had happened?
Well, down the mine, I wasn't working on the coal. I was on carting the trucks. Empty ones down,
Mm-hmm.
full ones come back up top.
Mm-hmm.
And there was only a Jap and I working together. He said, war or worry. And the war was finished.
Mm.
And so we wouldn't work after that.
Mm.
So the car took us out of the mine, and that was the finish of the mine as
Yeah.
far as we were aware.
Now, how did you get back to Australia?
We went back to Manila by this, when they call it a doctor's boat.
Yeah.
And then after a few weeks there, they put us on a airplane carrier and gave us camp stretchers,
Uh-huh.
and we logged back at Sydney.
Do you remember the name of the aircraft carrier? No. And then from Sydney, how did you get back to Perth?
Well, I took us to Ingleburn.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had two at Ingleburn.
Mm.
They took us down onto this boat. It was an ordinary pleasure boat. Had crew and passengers and everything from
Mm-hmm.
down to England. And they put us down into
The cargo.
the mess hut,
Mm.
mess room, and we had to sleep under the tables and what have you.
Mm.
And anyway, a chap by the name of, can't think of his name now.
Mhm.
There was pommies on there down England. And these pommies said, this isn't good enough for the Air Force. And they marched off the boat. So this Australian sergeant, second to their joker, he said if it's not good enough for the Air Force, it's not good enough for the Army. And a novice started to get off the boat.
Mm.
The Japs broke up, everybody couldn't get off,
Mm.
so they pulled the wharf up. Not the wharf, the gangway,
Mm.
and left us all standing on the wharf.
Oh. Mm.
And the officer that was there to see us off, he says, all your papers are on that boat. And he says, as far as I'm concerned, you're on the boat. So, he off. And we had another wander around Sydney and then went back to Ingleburn. The officer there, he said, next morning he said to us, I don't know anything what I can do about it, but if you're reported missing the ship, you'll have to be charged. So we finally were charged, fined £1, and this officer was a rather good sort. He said, well, I'll try and get you back at the same time as the boat.
Mm.
So we spent another night in Ingleburn,
Mm.
went to Melbourne by train, went to the races there, saw the Caulfield Cup. They put us on a plane next morning, and we landed what is Guildford now, it was
Yeah.
unknown place to us.
Yeah.
And on the same afternoon as the boat came in.
That's ironical. Yeah. Now, how did in the meantime, did Rose know anything about your return?
And they were they kept sending telegrams all about I was on such and such a boat.
Yes.
They sent another telegram
Yes.
saying I was off the boat. Anyway, so she finally got a telegram saying I'll be landing at Guildford at such and such a time,
Yes. Yeah.
and she met me there.
Yeah. And she was out at the airport, was she?
Yeah,
Yeah. But you would have had to go to to Karrakatta, would you? Before they let you go home?
I went home,
Yeah.
had to go to Karrakatta the next morning.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And I'm just wondering, do you remember what date you were discharged from the army?
Not really.
January 46 early
It
is
was
what.
in January.
Yeah,
No,
1946. Yeah.
I don't know the date.
Yeah. And did you go straight back to work?
No. The line pipe operator had to work a keyboard,
Mm.
and you had to do about 7,000 ends an hour
Mm.
for 6 hours.
Mm.
Well, after spending 4 or 5 years away from it,
Yes.
I thought the best thing I could do is to go back to school and learn again.
Yes.
So I went back to school and I got my speed up there. Went back to work then
And where did you work then?
at West Farmers again.
Oh, back with West Farmers, yeah. Mm. And now, could you just go back to your time as a prisoner of war, and can you maybe tell me what was the worst experience you came across as a prisoner of war?
Well, there was no good times and they were all worse times.
Yes, yeah. Were there any examples of very bad treatment by Japanese guards or the Korean guards?
Well, up on the line, I was a bit late arriving for the count in the morning, because I was in the back row. And yeah, at the finish after the count, you had to salute the officer. If I was in the back row, and instead of going like this, salute them, I put my fingers to my nose at him. Of course, the Jap saw me. And I was marched up to the guardhouse. I had to stand at attention there with a big rock in my hand. And during the afternoon, well, I was getting, every time the guards changed, they'd roll up your runners. Anyway, early in the afternoon, a Jap come along, a Jap officer. He said to me, "What are you here for?" Spoke English perfect. Turned out he was the interpreter. I thought, well, there's no use telling lies. I was caught doing it, so I just told him. I didn't say I put my finger to my nose. I said I didn't salute
Properly also.
the officer of the guard. He looked at me for a while and he says, "You don't tell lies, you may go." So he let me off.
Yeah. Do you know anything about his background? Did you ever have any contact with him again? You didn't find out why he was so proficient in English? Now, that's one of the worst examples. What was was there anything that you take out of being a prisoner of war that is a good feeling?
Only to hear the word prisons any longer.
Yes, yes, I'm sure. Yeah, yeah. Well, Alf, I think we've covered your time as a prisoner, and I'm extremely indebted to you for giving me the time today.
Well, I'm very indebted to you for spending your time with me.
Well, we started this about 11 years ago, didn't we, in the WA Club for breakfast one morning.
Yes.
So we've got there. Thank you very much, Alf.